Hi, and welcome to the Terrace. I'm Caitlin Henry, former head of furniture at Anthropology, founder of Studio Terrace, and someone who has spent over a decade figuring out how product gets made.
And I'm Sam Brooks, co-host, current furniture buyer at Urban Outfitters, and co-obsessor. I'm the one who selects the seasonal prints for our beloved Jane Vanity, and you'll definitely be excited to hear what else is in store today.
We're going to talk about all things production. We're going to talk about how furniture takes its full journey all the way to the customer. We're going to talk about how the product is concept, designed, produced, how we make the decisions on where product is made, and then how ultimately it gets to you.
This is the episode that will make you look at your sofa completely differently, or at least you'll wonder how it's made.
Pull up a chair, ideally one you know the origin story of, and let's get into it.
So it's been a while. How have you been?
I mean, I've been great. We were like ships passing in the night at
Truly.
High Point.
I know. Everyone was asking about you though.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I met with some of your old coworkers and whatnot, so that was nice.
That's so nice. I mean, I like High Point because it's very social.
It is very social. That because they pour booze at like 3 p.m. to all of the buyers and it's all free and you see way too many people taking advantage. Yes. But also it's just like it's a little town, comes alive in the spring and the fall.
It was also beautiful outside. So like walking around to all of the different spaces was really enjoyable.
You got a little bit luckier with the weather than I did. It was a little bit colder for us.
Okay.
But it was still nice.
Should we tell everybody what High Point is? Maybe not everyone knows what High Point is.
We touched on it a little bit in an older episode.
You're right, we did.
But like give them the history.
So High Point, North Carolina is where furniture has historically been made in the United States. North Carolina used to be the head of, American-made furniture. Obviously, a lot of that production has died down over the years, but there's still a really prominent, space of makers that, you can go and get a lot of furniture. And there's a big trade show twice a year where everybody comes to showcase all of their product.
And it's a little different than a usual trade show, which is in like a big convention center and they have all these set up showrooms. They do have 2 buildings like that, but the rest of it is like literally storefronts in the town that are only open like during this time. And so you kind of like get to like window shop a little bit. You walk outside a lot more. You like run into people on the street. So that makes it feel like a little different, I think, than usual trade shows, which is really fun. And there's still definitely people that are advertising like made in the US, made in High Point. There's some factories there. There's a lot of like acquisition that's been happening lately. Certain retailers are, vendors go away and get absorbed by another vendor. And all these High Point people, they all know each other super well. They all hop around to different vendors as salespeople. And like, it's kind of like really interesting. Could be like a case study in a psychology class.
It certainly
some of the vibes in High Point. But.
Yeah. And Sam is right. It really is a town that comes alive twice a year for this trade show. There's, like a downtown area almost of this trade show that is lined with brick and mortar stores that are really only open twice a year.
Yeah, there's a bakery that's only open during High Point. They pay their rent for the entire year during High Point for just like coffee and baked goods. They're somewhere else the rest of the time, which is hilarious. I mean, they saw an opportunity and they took it. So like,
good for them. Good for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, High Point's fun. It's I feel like sometimes, it can be kind of like an inside joke because it can kind of be it's one of the less sexy trade shows when you think about like, there's Maison Objet in Paris and there's Salone in Milan. Yes, Ambiente. So, sometimes people joke about High Point, but it really is it's a great trade show and lots of people go.
Yeah, it's an eye opener for people who've never done it before, but I don't know. For us, it feels like another day at High Point.
I know. So, I was just thinking about that. I was like, how many High Points have I been to in the past 15 years?
My boss actually asked me that. And I was like, 12, maybe so 15. Many. She was like, what?
Remember the time that we road tripped to High Point with our team at Urban?
Of course. We stopped everywhere.
Roads were tight. If like more than one person could go to High Point, we had to drive. We band together and we made a big road trip out of it.
They've built more hotels since, so the hotel and less people go to the show, so the hotels are a little more reasonable. That they used to jack up the rates like crazy. But yeah, we also did some comp shopping around like Raleigh and Durham. Great thrift stores, lots of cute like home curated furniture, stuff like that.
Yeah,
especially in downtown Raleigh, we were like really impressed. And Durham was really cute too, so we had a lovely time.
That's great.
Love to see some decent shopping.
You know, it's a good point. There is some good antiquing to be had in High Point.
Oh, yeah.
So if you go to the show, you might want to go like a day or so early, and you can do some pretty decent antiquing.
Yeah. What else has been going on?
I mean, we had the Met Gala
Oh,
last
yeah.
night.
Oh, my God. We must discuss.
Who's
Should
your
we go
favorite?
over? Well, our girl we were just discussing, Emma Chamberlain, really blew me away.
I loved Emma. I loved
She read
Odessa.
the theme. I mean, I love her, just like point blank, period.
Yeah. I almost sent you Connor's story.
I mean,
he can do no wrong.
Seriously, a halter top of the train. My critique is the train could have been longer, but like his like Tiffany collab, if you will, with all the brooches. Like I was like, honestly, 10 more brooches. Honestly, I would love to see him covered in brooches.
Oh, I just love him. I knew something was up when he hosted SNL and he had on the Tiffany's hardware necklace with the diamond.
And he was wearing your favorite Victoria Beckham for Gap denim Canadian tuxedo, which you know I love.
I just feel like we would be good friends.
I know. I mean, I think that about every celebrity I love, but they say never meet your heroes, so who knows?
I know. But that was fun. That was exciting.
I think a lot of people didn't really go all out for the theme, which was surprising to me because I felt like it was an easy one to like pick your favorite art piece and just like emulate that with your lesson choice.
Yeah.
So I was a little surprised by like some snoozers.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm like on an island here, but I didn't love Heidi Klum's. It seemed too costumey to me. It reminded me when she was like a worm at her holiday party.
Yeah.
Or Halloween party, I guess.
You know, I was surprised that there weren't more very literal interpretations.
Like a statue.
There's so many amazing paintings out there. I'm surprised that there weren't like, you know, somebody didn't do like the girl with the pearl earring or something.
Yeah, a lot of people went with like something gold, anything like gilded.
Yeah.
And a lot of people like the body was the fit. And I'm like, babes, the body is the fit at every other award show.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely thought there were some interesting choices on the carpet and like people could have gone more all out.
Yeah.
To be honest, my like least favorite was like Blake Lively.
Oh, I didn't see Blake.
She just worn that dress like 1,000 times.
Oh,
you
really?
would like confuse it with any other Met Gala. And so I just like want her to do something different. She like kind of always is dressed the same.
Yeah.
So.
I liked Beyonce.
Well, she like never misses.
Yeah. She's Beyonce, to be honest with you.
Should we get into our main topic?
I think we have a lot of really exciting things to talk about today.
Yeah, this is a really interesting one because I think it's something that I like talk about conversationally. A lot of people don't understand like what a buyer does.
Yep.
And besides doing the financial piece of us spending the company's money, if you will, to buy inventory for shoppers out in the world, we also oversee a lot of the product development and how a product, and in our case, furniture mainly, and other things in home decor go from concept to the floor.
Yeah, absolutely.
So why don't you walk us through? Because Anthro has, I think, a little bit more of an in-depth, like your most recent experience, but you've also been on the vendor side. So
I have. I've been on a couple of different sides in the furniture industry. I will say, I think that URBN is a little more specific with how a buyer role is. I think one of the great things about working at URBN and being a buyer at URBN is you get a lot of creative agency that you don't get at a lot of other places. I think a lot of other corporate retailers are super numbers driven, which so is URBN, but you also are expected to be very creative and up on trends and work really well with others, like your other designers and your PD team. Like that is that's a very crucial relationship. So I think where I should start is when you're a buyer at Urban Outfitters, Anthropologie, any corporate retailer, usually the season starts like 15 to 18 months in advance.
Yeah.
So we're planning an assortment that will be available to the consumer 18 months. That's a year and a half.
Yeah.
So it's a mix of calling things using your gut and what you think is going to be on trend. And also you're using a lot of data on what you want to develop into, what's working, how do you evolve that. So first, you have usually a design team or a concept team that comes up with, you know, an amazing concept, and a trend team that tells you what trends you should be designing into. And then you have a design team that then interprets that in tandem with what we call in corporate retail line plan,
which is like when we make the creatives stick to numbers.
Yes. It's a very black and white, numbers driven ask of what type of product you want, what price point you want it at. And those are usually the main point. So for example, I really want to develop into game tables. That's an emerging trend, and I feel like we could own that space. So design team, based on the concept and the trends that the concept team has shown us and what you guys think, as designers, can you design 4 game tables, and I want them at XYZ price points? That's a pretty good definition of what goes on. And you take that times, 50, 60 SKUs, and that's the line plan. And then product starts to get designed. So once that product is designed, typically there's a lot of collaboration between a buying team, a design team, and a product development and sourcing team. And everyone works together to decide what that assortment needs to look like, specifically from an aesthetic point of view, from a price point of view, from a material point of view. And then the product gets allocated, which I've always thought has been a really interesting conversation, because I didn't know, I didn't put 2 and 2 together when I first got into the furniture industry, because certain product gets made in specific places based on the skill and the labor of those countries. Depending on what you're looking for, Vietnam is known for making really beautiful case goods. And if anyone doesn't know what a case good is, it's basically any piece of furniture that is not upholstery. So a dresser, a dining table, a nightstand, bookshelf, exactly. And a lot of those are made in Vietnam because they have really great precision in Vietnam. They have a lot of advanced technology in factories there. And so they're known for making really nice, clean product. Also, there's upholstery. So upholstery can be made in a couple of different places, but I would say predominantly there's a lot made in the US, which is great. There's a lot of large retailers that have factories here in the US, which is really fantastic. There's also a lot of upholstery made in China. There's some made in Mexico. It just kind of depends on what you're looking for and what type of relationship you have with your vendors. And then let's see, there's Indonesia. That's more like outdoor furniture, things like that. So,
and let's touch on quickly the core competencies of these certain areas besides Vietnam, because that was one thing you mentioned. They're great at case goods. But when you think about something that's like handmade, artisan, it's going to be like India. And then if something is like going to be made by like a factory, have good electroplating. If it's RTA, which is ready to assemble, so flat packed, like IKEA when you're building it yourself, that's going to be from China. Certain areas have their specialties. I think like metal, and then like MDF particle board RTA is like very much China. And then India is like, they do upholstery too, but it's really going to be like handmade, one-offs. Like we deal a lot when we are sourcing with minimum order quantities, and like out of China, like you're expecting every retailer had to order 1,000 units of that, right?
Very high MOQs.
Versus like India, like you can order 20, and like the only 20 of this piece could exist in the world, which I think is like really exciting and something I think the customer doesn't understand most of the time.
Yeah, no, that's such a great point.
Obviously it's more expensive, but it's handmade. There can be variation from piece to piece, which is an issue for customers that are used to shopping things that were made in China, where it's all like molded and they set it up on a factory line and like a machine cuts it all, so it's all the same. And so I think a lot of that sourcing difference is not understood by the customer. And something from China is usually going to be less expensive because it requires less labor. It is factory manufactured. There are machines involved. So all of those kinds of things like go into all of the what makes up these products that, and we can get a concept and be like, okay, it's like Western themed. Well, we want like hand embossed leather. We can't go to China for that, right? So a lot of, even from the start of concept, we know where we might be sourcing this kind of product. And so I think that's really interesting, in how certain seasons can be more expensive. And then we go back and forth on price points and wanting to make sure we have like a good, better, best. Like all of that is really what provides the architecture to what the assortment the customer sees online or in stores.
Yeah, that's so true. I think it's really important. You touched on the handmade, like very one of a kind aesthetic that comes out of India a lot. I think I've had a lot of experience with customers being upset about something looking different than what they saw online. So for example, our sample that we photographed at Anthropology was a burl console. Burl is it is
you're touching a sensitive point with me.
It's a very sensitive material. Burl is a how do I describe this? Burl
It's like
is
a knotted wood finish.
A knotted wood finish. So what burl is actually a disease of the tree. Burl, it looks like ink splatter design almost in wood form. And it varies. And it varies by tree, it varies by species, and it's never going to look the same on every single piece.
Yep.
And so when you photograph something that is burl wood, you have to really be careful to notate in the product copy that there will be variation on every single piece.
The product copy that no one reads. I mean, if I had a nickel for every review we received,
oh my God.
Says,
I know.
Should have read the copy, but this is small. Like, I don't like this fit. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh.
I should have looked at the dimensions. It's so smaller than I thought.
Crisis in America.
I know. So, but it's so important to read the fine print, especially when it's something that is a little bit more special and nuanced, like a burl wood, like something that is made by hand in India. You know, there's that very like bohemian carved wood look that had a major moment like 7 years ago.
Back when we worked together.
When we worked together, that was our whole assortment.
That was
just
heyday.
Like taking carved wood product.
The boho girl was shopping.
Oh, love it. What a time.
I know.
What a time to be alive. That all comes from India. And a lot of the time it varies because it's literally one person making it.
That gold leaf, they're like, the picture had more gold leaf. I'm like, someone is sitting there putting that on. Maybe that guy had a bad day that day.
This is not an automated process. This is not an automated process. So back to our timeline of how product is made. Things go into production. You like decide where you want to get a product made. A sample is made for you to approve. Ideally, you go see that sample so that you can approve it in person. And that's why a lot of the people that work in the furniture industry travel a lot, because it's just so much cheaper for a couple of people to fly overseas to check a couple of samples, besides having it shipped in a container that will take 6 months to get to you. And then those things are approved if people like the way they look, and then product goes into production. So that leads me to talk about factories and what to expect in a factory. I don't know about you, but what were some of the things that really surprised you or didn't surprise you the first time you like toured a factory?
Girl, this is all you, because I became like a buyer in the era of COVID. So we weren't going to Asia anymore. So I've never been to Asia.
Oh my goodness.
I know, it's crazy. So I'm just like waiting on the call any day now.
Anytime, guys.
But
I'll go anytime.
I would love to go. But yeah, so they kind of like didn't really send anyone for years, and then now we're just getting back into it. So I've actually never been to Asia to see a factory in real time. I've obviously like seen plenty of videos, done the FaceTime tours, all of that. I've seen a US upholstery factory.
I was gonna say you've definitely been to some like North Carolina or Mississippi.
I've been to North Carolina.
Okay.
But other than that, like, you should share more about your experience, because I know you've been India, everywhere.
Well, so I have been very lucky with my travel experience. My job has taken me to some really incredible places. I would say I've mostly been to Vietnam and India. Those were my two main countries, but you know, we've made product in Mexico, Indonesia, Philippines. You know, there's a lot of trade shows overseas too, like in Singapore and Europe. But I would say that no factory is the same. It's different in every country. A lot of factories in India are much more artisan focused and less automated, obviously because of the product. But I will say that I have been to some state of the art factories, and it's truly amazing to watch how everything is made. This particular client that I have is a factory in Vietnam, and the person who runs this factory was formerly at a Toyota car plant.
And, oh my gosh.
And it is the most beautifully run factory, and so organized, and there's so much camaraderie, and there's such great automation and process that it's pretty insane to see in person. But you know, no two factories are the same, and there's some really great ones, and then there's some that you leave and you're like, I don't know about that place.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we've had the Anthro team approve samples in country before.
I've approved urban samples.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Or like the UK team is closer to Asia, and they go way more often because they don't have as much of a vertical integration. Vertical integration basically just means that your production team is in-house versus you can go straight to a vendor like ones that you work with now. and seek out a line. And that actually probably transitions to our next topic, which is kind of how we source and all the different avenues you can go down for how a product is made and how buyers select product. We just really focused on what we have experienced in something completely vertical, its own brand. It comes from concept to a designer to a production team to us as the buyers and then to you as the customer. But there's also gaps in the assortment that get filled outside of concept, outside of internal design and production, where we would go to the market and buy something that's off an existing line, change the color, do an exclusive, change in size, all those different avenues that you can go, because there's a bunch of really great product that doesn't need to be redesigned in-house, right? So we love to take advantage of existing things in the market that just needs an extra spin or something that makes it right for our customer. And that's at any retailer.
Yeah. When you say market, you're referencing like trade shows or like current like domestic partners where you're not dealing with importing the product or designing it, creating it, and all of that.
So you would have a sales rep essentially in the US. And so that essentially is like a different middleman versus the production middleman that we deal with vertically, like within a regular company.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one of the most interesting, but also it can be confusing things about the furniture industry specifically is the different layers that you can create product within. There's different layers with which you can distribute product. You can go directly to a factory. You can work with a wholesaler. You can work with a sales rep. There's so many different ways to slice and dice getting product that it's very creative, but sometimes even me, I've been in the industry for years, I'm like, wait, you can do that?
Well, and it's like resourcefulness, right? Besides like what you regularly think of with creativity, it's more of like design, but it's really like, I see this here, I see this there, I know that this person can do it. What is the right price for our customer? So what do we feel like it warrants? And then who can give it to us with the best quality, best price?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of that, like dual sourcing, kind of all over the place.
Yeah. The logistics can be
a little messy.
Very interesting, which I think this brings me to a point that I want to make sure our listeners know is the difference between made in USA, assembled in USA.
Yes. Oh my gosh, we should have touched on this earlier.
In USA. There's so many different languages around where product is made. Typically, there is like a rule, like a product has to be made, like 80% of it has to be made in a country to claim that as the COO, the country of origin. I made up that percentage. I don't know if it's 80%, but it's something. But made in USA is tricky because it has a very exciting connotation to it. Made in USA, made by local people. And it can be a little bit messy because things are made in USA, which means the entire thing is made in the USA. They might even import raw materials, but things are physically made in the USA. And then there's assembled in the USA, which is like interesting. It's literally factories overseas shipping the raw materials or the finished materials from...
Think about like a couch that's not upholstered yet.
Exactly. Yeah. So they're shipping all of the components of a sofa to a factory in North Carolina, and perhaps they're doing the upholstery there, right? From a case goods perspective, finished in the USA means they are shipping over the finished white wood, which is just basically a basic wood dresser that doesn't have any finish on it, hasn't been sanded or colored, anything like that. And it's shipped over here to the US, and then they apply the finish here.
Yeah.
And that's called finished in the USA,
which is kind of literal, like more literal than people would think.
Yeah. And a lot of companies do this now to provide the customer with more options. So, companies don't have to invest in or forecast how much of one finish they need to account for overseas when they can just ship like the basic product to the US and finish it as it's ordered. So the customer can order what finish they want. And then that's when the factory applies that finish. They're not making any preconceived ideas on how much the customer is going to order or not. Again, back to the logistics. It can be very messy, but it's all done in a way to try to make things more advantageous for the customer from like a choice perspective.
Yeah, I think to reference for our listeners, a lot of people that you're thinking of like assembled in the USA is a lot of the made to order for like Pottery Barn, West Elm, like you can pick any fabric you want. You can pick all the different like modular settings and like
Mm-hmm.
design that sofa custom. And it's like 8 to 12 weeks. A lot of that is not being like either the materials come from overseas, certain parts are finished, and then they just like slap the fabric on basically, and then do all of the like finishing upholstery here in the US. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why it's like made to order. It's not made to order in Asia, it's made here technically, but it's really kind of like finished or the fabric is applied. And that's why you're like, wow, I can choose from 40 different fabrics,
Yep.
leather, velvet, performance, everything. And that's
Mm-hmm.
honestly, it was such a great add to the industry because it gave so much customer choice, so much opportunity from a sales perspective to be able
Mm-hmm.
to, if there's a customer out there for it, we can deliver it to them, even if we're only selling 1 unit a month, which is something you would never want to stock. And then you also were able to get reads like, this is our best selling color. We can sell 12 a week, which means we actually should just pre make this and have it on hand. And I think that's how you see like some stuff that can come in 3 to 4 weeks, some that can
Exactly.
come 8 to 12. And it's really conditioned the customer to wait longer for certain upholstery, especially when it's like custom ordered. When it's not truly built for you, it's finished for
It's
you.
finished for you. The
Mm-hmm.
fabric is bought when you order the sofa.
Yeah.
So that 8 to 12 week lead time is basically, Pottery Barn ordering the fabric for you to
Mm-hmm.
finish your sofa because they're not going to stock it because maybe it doesn't get ordered that frequently. So it all comes down to what the retailer wants to stock and order.
Yeah, that's for all of our like rose velvet, green velvet girls out
Exactly.
there.
The more obscure the
Yeah.
color and
Mm-hmm.
fabric, the longer you will have to wait.
Yeah, anyone that hasn't ordered a sofa that's like legitimately cream or navy, you are
Exactly.
waiting a little bit longer, sorry
Yeah.
to say.
Yeah.
But honestly, at least the option's
Yeah.
available.
I mean,
And I think that's amazing.
yeah. I mean, the breadth of choice is what
Mhm.
makes made to order so special and exciting. It goes back to a lot of the conversations you and I have had about, how to make your space feel, and you want it to feel like you. And
Mhm.
sometimes to make it feel like you need a bright yellow mustard sofa.
Do you remember? This is like a story from our olden days. It was like my very first finalization buy review, and there was like a click clack sofa, and the design team had sampled it in this like peachy, corally orange color.
Yeah.
And we went to Poho, and you were like, I'm just gonna buy it in gray or whatever. And someone was like, I don't know, I really like the peach. And then you looked at me and you were like, Sam, what do you think? And I was like, I don't know. I actually do like the peach. And then it came in and it sold in the peach. And I was like, oh my God, like this is the route for me. Like I have a second sense. I've been wrong 100 times since. However, the times that you're right, like it feels like nothing
It
else.
gives you the confidence to keep going.
Yeah. You
And
probably don't even remember that.
I don't remember it, but I'm so glad that you did because
Mhm.
I also have like, instances like that where I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, I
Gave
took
me
a
the
bet. I
confidence
took
for
a
a pop
bet.
color.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what buying is. Like it's
Mhm.
really just sometimes you have to make a bet, and sometimes it pays
Yeah.
off and sometimes it doesn't. And the important thing is you learn from it and you just keep moving. That's what I've taken away
Yeah.
from this whole industry.
I mean, and sometimes you're not even wrong. You're just like too early or too
That's always
late
my
or
excuse. I'm like, you know what? I'm just too early to this trend.
yeah, I mean, like, I'm like, I want to do lacquer. And it was everywhere in a high point. And I'm like, well, it's actually nowhere at competitors, which means like the customer's not ready for it. So,
Yeah.
you have to like kind of make those educated guesses and the big bets. And one thing I do love about buying in general is that like it's not a blame game, especially like just within the industry. I feel like it can be, but at the end of the day, it's like, well, we need to, the choices were made. We all were there when the choice was made.
Yeah.
So we need to just figure it out, use our markdown dollars, use our promo dollars, whatever it is. I mean, there can be instances, but I'm always like, I can't shoulder any of this because you guys saw the PowerPoints. Everybody's
This
like,
was a decision by a committee. Okay.
everybody signs off on it. And that's like kind of the fun thing about retail, selective memory for sure. And I'm just like, I'll say you were there.
It's so true. I will say, I do think what I've witnessed from other people and from experience that I've had myself, you get the biggest payoff when you make the bets, and you
Yeah.
have to be willing to be brave
There's
and
nothing
make a
more
call.
embarrassing than like something sells out right away, like in a week, and they're like, why would you buy this so small?
Yeah,
Like, did you
yeah.
look at sales history? And then you're like, it's like sometimes you're just afraid to be wrong. And sometimes you have to remember to like just be a little gutsy.
Yeah.
Love the intuition. But yeah. Should we talk about what we're coveting?
Yes.
Are you ready or should I go first?
Yes. You go first.
Okay. I know we talked about furniture a lot, but since we were just in High Point, Four Hands is one of my favorite showrooms.
Yeah.
And they always have something fun. Four Hands is a big vendor for like Lulu in Georgia. So think about that California cool vibe. That's what a lot of their showroom is. But I've been like obsessed with big lamps lately, and they have the most
and they're only getting bigger.
They're only getting bigger, and they're like so chunky.
Yeah.
And they had the most amazing chrome plated floor lamp. It's called their Romani floor lamp. Unfortunately, it's like $2,000. But I will say CB2 has a stainless steel version that's like only $799.
Okay.
Would I ever spend that on a floor lamp? Probably not. It
Floor
has
lamps
like
are so expensive.
endless cool factor. Like it would definitely be in Kelly Wearstler's house.
Oh, I love that.
And so I don't know. That's like one thing that I keep remembering, even though I like don't even have chrome in my house. But I don't know. It was just cool.
I love that. Someday I will spend money on a floor lamp, but that
now day is like not in the next 5 years.
It's nowhere near in my future. I have other things I have to pay for. But there's so many beautiful like visual comfort. They have this polished nickel. It's like a cordless lamp. And it's like very sleek and sexy. And it's one of those you can put anywhere. It's like $500. I'm like, this is a tiny cordless lamp.
They're now at all the restaurants, like on all the tables. And like, I love it. Like so much mood lighting. It changed the game. No more candles, just like the tap rechargeable lamps. Like I think it's amazing.
Cool. So I have a couple of things that I'm coveting.
List it off.
Fresh off of High Point, you know, the material that I'm really into is still burl. I love burl.
I'm like, where's the burl in your house?
I know. I don't have
It's really hard to find vintage and stuff. And I know you love to buy.
Yeah.
It's really hard to find.
Yeah, it is really hard to find. But I think maybe I have held off on buying burl for myself. Bought tons of burl for Anthropologie.
I mean, yeah.
An entire
I've seen
assortment
it on
of burl.
Velo.
Yeah. High performer. But what I loved at High Point was there was still a ton of burl, but there was a mid-tone burl that was kind of like between like the light burl that we're seeing at like CB2 and the dark burl that you're seeing at like Anthropologie. Our house. Like it was just a beautiful mid-toned burl that also had a bit of a like lacquer sheen to it.
Oh my God, cute.
It was a vibe. So I was seeing a lot of that at High Point. And then I get home and I log onto the computer to Crate and Barrel to see what's popping on a Friday. And they just launched their latest collab, which we just talked about collabs. But
God, it never ends.
It never ends. The cycle never ends. There's a new collab that Crate and Barrel did with Harrier and Howell.
I need to get my phone out like right after.
You're going to love it.
Oh my God.
So beautiful.
Do they have a sideboard?
Yes. They have everything. It's a really, it's a huge SKU count collab. But what it is it's like sexy Art Deco Hollywood glam product, and it's upholstery, it's case goods, it's lighting, and they have a couple of pieces that are absolutely to die for. One of them is a bar, a circular shaped bar that's like maybe 5 feet tall, and it just looks absolutely beautiful. And they also have a lot of mid-tone burl pieces.
Wait, so it's with Crate and Barrel, not CB2?
It's with Crate and Barrel.
Interesting, because I feel like what you're explaining kind of sounds like CB2's vibe.
Yeah,
I think they're investing more in Crate and Barrel as a brand lately, it seems to me. So interesting.
It felt more youthful than the typical Crate and Barrel. I will say the price point is a little bit higher, especially for the case goods, than like the typical Crate and Barrel price point. But it's the first collaboration I've seen in a long time where it took my breath away. Some of the chandeliers took my breath away.
Why did you send it to me? I guess because we were about to see each other.
Yeah.
You didn't want to like spoil it. I love being shocked by the covers.
I know. I'll show it to you after we're done filming.
Yeah. Oh my God, amazing.
But yeah, those are my like big ones.
Anything else? Like I feel like you come up with new ones every week.
I mean, I'm always coveting something. You know what? It's maybe I've mentioned this before, but plinths and pedestals. So I mention them a lot because I love them. There's one that I love from Made in Home that I've definitely talked about before, but there is another plinth that is from like a smaller brand called Page House Studio, and it's moire fabric applied to it. So it's like a typical plinth or pedestal that you put like a plant on or like a statue, but adhered a moire fabric to it, which
I mean,
moire
ugh.
is a technique that you apply to a fabric. You see it a lot on silk that just kind of makes the fabric look like it's moving, and that there's like kind of maybe like a water movement to it. And it's in an ivory. It's super subtle, and it's just so pretty.
I just love like upholstered furniture. Obviously, Anthro has their Hail collection that's like beautiful. I've been starting to see some upholstered like nightstands and something like that at Home Goods.
Oh
Very
yeah,
sharp price points, like $249.
it's only a matter of time.
It really. I'm constantly like, they're evolving. They're doing it.
I
The
know.
only problem is like you can barely find two matching ones, right?
Yeah.
Like there's always only one. So that's the one advantage that us online retailers have against the almighty Home Goods. But I do like obsess over pedestals. I want to go to an estate sale this weekend because I'm always jealous of yours staring at me every time I come here.
It's my pride and joy.
Mhm. And it should be.
Well, it's estate sale season. So
I know. The weather's
crossed.
nice. And sometimes when it's a little rainy, the lines will be shorter. You know, got to weed out the weaklings. Should we jump into Would You Rather?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay. Would you rather own a beautifully made sofa from a factory in Vietnam that you toured yourself and saw being made, or a made in USA sofa from a brand that you don't know anything about?
I'm going to have to say, like, I fall in love with things when I see them myself. So I probably, like, if I saw it being made, would be like, this is the one.
Yeah.
I feel like even when I'm like vintage shopping, so like I'm like, this, I was brought here to this moment with this product.
Yeah, absolute product fate.
Yeah, exactly.
I would have to say the same. I went through a phase earlier in my career where I was like, okay, I'm only going to furnish my home with product that I have either worked on myself or seen being made in a factory.
Oh my God.
It was a lofty goal, and I did not succeed because it's very specific. And at the end of the day, sometimes you need something that you had nothing to do with. So unfortunately, I had to let that dream go. Some of the things in my home definitely were products that I worked on myself.
Any buyer devs?
Buyer devs, let's see. At one point, definitely, yes, especially back in my Urban Outfitters days. I still have some Anthropologie product that I worked on here. That hutch is one of them. This coffee table is one of them.
Oh, I didn't know about that one. Cute.
But yeah, I love knowing the origin. I love knowing where product is made. So
yeah, I don't have any furniture, but I definitely have like decorative accessories.
Oh yeah.
And
do you have any neon signs from Urban Outfitters?
I had one, but I like got rid of it years ago.
Was it the banana?
No. It was the plant. You know, we did that like neon sign that looks like a plant. Oh my God, that was cute. It didn't sell that well though. Sad. We really stepped out on them. Anyway.
An example of stepping out on
they
something.
They sold their own promo, okay? Only a couple of them got marked down. Anyway. Would you rather spend your entire sofa budget on the best frame and foam with a cheap fabric you can reupholster later, or get a perfect fabric now on a frame that's just okay?
I would definitely go for the interiors being in tip-top shape. So we really didn't talk about this in this episode, but how your sofa is made and what goes into it is super important, especially when you're trying to understand like, you know, how much the price point is. But it's super important to make sure you're buying a sofa that has a high density foam core. Ideally, it has some sort of, you know, feather down or Dacron wrapping around it. And then you're golden from there. You can always get something reupholstered. So that's my answer. I would go with the one that had an interior, you know, tip-top shape.
Yeah, agree. I think upholstering is, it's more normal than you think.
It is, and it's sustainable.
And if you're buying a nice sofa, you technically should be able to reupholster it at least once. Sofas contribute so much waste. Throwing them out, they can't be reused. I don't know if anyone has ever tried to resell a sofa on like Facebook Marketplace or something like that. People don't buy upholstery from other people's homes. Maybe you can give it away for free. But a lot of times it just ends up in the dump. Gets taken away on like bulk pickup day. And that's so unfortunate with like how people are spending less on sofas and getting rid of them more often. So yeah, definitely that one.
Oh my God. I totally forgot to tell you this. I got an email on Friday from the founder of Made in Home.
Your dream.
My dream. Personally thanking me for my glowing reviews of their brand on TikTok.
Stop. Wait, that's amazing.
I know. I was glowing.
Did you
all
ask
weekend.
them if they want to be on our podcast?
I have been trying to craft a response and I haven't gotten there yet. I'm like, how do I make this work?
You're like, I want to be complimentary, but a little coy. So I seem cool. But at the same time, like, please. I'm like, clip it.
We'll see. We'll see. I'll keep you posted. It's a recent development, and I was thrilled.
That's amazing. I just love when, retailers appreciate their customer. It doesn't happen enough.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you ride for a retailer, you really do.
Oh, I ride or die for them.
I mean, the Gap should be emailing you. Like,
Gap.
where is the email, Zach Posen?
Head to toe Gap right now. My whole outfit is brought to you by Gap, and I need them to sponsor
I know
me.
you have an EA.
Okay, this next would you rather is very good. Okay, would you rather know every detail of how every piece in your house was made, or stay blissfully unaware and just enjoy the room? I know.
This is like a bad and bad.
Yeah.
Am I a bad person if I say blissfully unaware?
No.
And what would you say? You're like, no, but I wouldn't say that.
I have an argument for both sides. Like, I think you want to enjoy your space. And I think sometimes when you get in the weeds and you are maybe perhaps a little too radical about where everything is made and knowing everything about the things that you're using, it can sometimes strip the joy out of the experience. So I completely understand where you're coming from. I might have to say that I would probably prefer to know where everything was made, only because I'm a bit of a factory nerd,
No, and I love that.
And I love furniture factories. I love understanding how things are made and the construction. And so I really enjoy that part of my job, like the technical aspect of it too. So I think I'm going to go with just knowing how everything was made and be annoying about it.
Honestly, it's
Be
like,
insufferable.
it's like a vegetarian when you're eating a steak. Okay. Would you rather buy one perfectly constructed sofa that ships in 16 weeks, so 4 months, or buy the floor model today and then find out a year later it was made with shortcuts?
I would wait 16 months. I would wait 18 months. I would wait 20 months for the perfect sofa.
Okay, it was only 16 weeks, all right?
I don't know if I would ever buy an upholstery floor sample in a retail store. I don't think I would.
No.
Yeah.
Someone could come in with a backpack with bed bugs. Like, I can't risk that type of situation.
Yeah. I say that and I'm like, I got this sofa secondhand.
I mean, they clearly had taste.
Steamer that I use.
Floor sample is different.
Yeah, floor samples are tough because they're just it's, if you're skeeved out by buying upholstery that has been in one person's home, think about buying a floor sample where hundreds of people have sat.
These people with their toddlers, like, let them jump all over. Like, I've been in an Ashley furniture at 3 p.m.
Yeah.
Like, it's like daycare.
Wait, did you see that TikTok I sent you about the guy that worked at Ashley Furniture and he like made raps about it?
Yes. People are so creative.
I know. I was like, this guy is like killing it.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of times people get like fired after they like make TikToks at work.
I think he actually did get fired.
What?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I didn't do any research, but then he posted another TikTok being like, got fired today, and like he rapped about it.
They always get fired. I don't really know why though. Like,
they better not fire the Staples baddie.
Whole press is like good press. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they need to have that type of perspective.
Yeah.
These like old people that don't know anything about TikTok. And it put Ashley on the map. I hadn't thought of them in the longest time. And then I was like, oh, look at their Haley Steinfeld collab. You know what I mean?
Wild.
They should be thanking him.
They really should.
Clip it. All right, we have one more.
All right. So would you rather tour a furniture factory in Asia for a week and change how you shop forever, or take that week as a pure vacation and keep buying the way you do now?
Okay, I actually haven't been on a vacation for like over 6 months though, so you're catching me at a vulnerable moment.
Sam is desperate for a vacation. She's been worked to the bone.
I haven't been on vacation since September.
Like, I'm not going to judge you if you say I want to take a vacation.
I mean, I want to take a vacation.
Good for you.
I'm like giving all the bad answers.
No,
people are going to be commenting like, that girl has no morals.
I will say that I will also take the vacation.
Okay.
Because I have toured enough factories.
The vegetarian has a steak.
And that's a wrap on this episode of The Terrace. If you're ever going to buy a piece of furniture again, which I assume you are, I hope this changes the way you think about it.
Look at the legs, flip the cushion, ask where it's made. You have the tools now.
We also want to hear from you. Is there a piece you're going to look at completely different after this, or a purchase you wish you could take back knowing what you know now? Come find us on Instagram at @thestudio_terrace and tell us. We read everything.
And if this episode saved you from a furniture mistake, share it with a friend who's probably standing in a showroom somewhere about to make a very important decision.
We'll see you back on The Terrace very soon.
Don't forget to bring the wine.